Unlocking neuroplasticity, rewire your brain for focus, regulation, and learning. In a world of self-help and productivity, the word neuroplasticity is often thrown around, sometimes as a motivational slogan, other times as a pseudoscientific promise. But what does it actually mean? And more importantly, how can you intentionally activate it to improve your focus, emotional regulation, habits, or learning? According to Dr. Andrew Huberman, professor of neurobiology at Stanford School of Medicine, neuroplasticity is the nervous system's capacity to rewire itself in response to experience. It is the biological foundation of change, learning, recovery, and performance improvement. But, and this is critical, neuroplasticity does not happen automatically with every experience. It requires precise internal conditions, attention, and neurochemical triggers. This article breaks down Huberman's essential teachings into clear, science-based principles you can apply to truly rewire your brain. No hacks, no fluff. Neuroplasticity, designed to change, but not always active. We are born with a brain designed for change. In infancy, our brains are a chaotic web of loosely connected neurons, full of potential but lacking precision. Everything from speech to motor control develops only through experience. This early period of life is when neuroplasticity is naturally at its peak. However, this plasticity dramatically decreases after age 25. That doesn't mean the adult brain cannot change. It can. But it requires far more intentional effort, attention, and neurochemical activation. The adult brain is very plastic, but only if certain biological conditions are met. Dr. Huberman. What doesn't cause brain change, despite popular belief? Contrary to common belief, not every experience rewires your brain. Simply reading, listening to a lecture, or going through your day won't rewire your neural circuits unless one thing is present: focused attention. Without attention, the brain doesn't flag the experience as important. Without importance, the neural connections involved in that moment won't strengthen or weaken. As Huberman puts it, the experience is you. Pay super careful attention to or what open up plasticity. The 3 neurochemicals required for brain change. Real neuroplasticity, lasting change, requires 3 key neurochemicals to be released at the same time. 1. Epinephrine, aka adrenaline, drives alertness and arousal. 2. Acetylcholine from the brainstem, acts as a sensory spotlight. 3. Acetylcholine from the nucleus basalis, signals importance to higher cognitive areas. Together, these chemicals signal the brain that something is worth rewiring. If all 3 are present, plasticity not only becomes possible, it becomes inevitable. Attention unlocks the gate to neuroplasticity. In practice, attention is what activates this neurochemical trio. One of the most striking experiments Huberman references is the work of Gregory Canzone and Mike Merzenich, who showed that simply touching textured objects did not change the brain unless the subject paid close attention to them. If subjects attended to touch, brain's touch map changed. Right arrow. If subjects attended to sounds instead, only auditory regions. Right arrow. Changed. Lesson. It's not the action. It's the attention during the action that rewires the brain. Why awareness is step 1 to changing anything. If you want to change a habit, reaction, or thought pattern, the very first step is awareness. Not vague intention, but specific, conscious recognition. Huberman tells a story of a woman who found his voice triggering because it reminded her of a past traumatic figure. Over time, simply by acknowledging this and staying aware of it, her response changed. Why? Because awareness reoriented her nervous system, creating the conditions for new associations to form. Conscious recognition. Aware thoughts. Emotional response. Reorienting nervous system. Creating alertness, fueling the brain to be rewired. Epinephrine, adrenaline, is the first required chemical for plasticity. It comes from alertness, and you can activate it in many ways. Healthy methods. Sleep. Caffeine. Exercise. Purpose-driven action. Emotional triggers. Fear. Accountability. Love. Pressure. Competition. Psychological tactics. Telling others your goals. Using social pressure. Personal challenges. The source doesn't matter, only that your system becomes alert and engaged. Your brain doesn't care if the motivation comes from love or fear. It only responds to intensity. The power of focus, training your brain through your eyes. Here's where Huberman provides a surprisingly practical insight. Mental focus follows visual focus. Want to get better at focusing on ideas or tasks? Practice focusing your eyes on one location in space without distraction. This activates your visual system's natural attentional circuits, which are deeply connected to acetylcholine release. Over time, this visual practice builds your ability to mentally concentrate for longer periods. Protocol. Choose a small object or point on the wall. Stare at it for 30 to 60 seconds without letting your gaze shift. Breathe calmly and stay relaxed. Repeat daily, gradually increasing duration, creating a distinct learning window. Huberman emphasizes that plasticity happens in focus windows, not all day long. The nervous system must know this is learning time. If you want to retain new skills, rewire habits, or overcome emotional triggers, create specific, distraction-free periods, 30 to 90 minutes, where you feel alert. Epinephrine are fully attentive to one task. Acetylcholine have clear motivation, emotional or goal-based. Avoid trying to learn passively or while multitasking. Plasticity will not occur. Smart use of supplements and tools. Use with caution. While some turn to nicotine, caffeine, or even Adderall to boost attention and arousal, Huberman warns that these may help with alertness, but not all increase acetylcholine needed for plasticity. Over-reliance dulls your natural focus systems. Best results come when behavioral protocols are used consistently, with occasional supplementation if needed. If you choose to use cognitive enhancers, do so with full awareness and use them to amplify learning windows, not as substitutes for effort or intention. Conclusion: the formula for changing your brain. To summarize, neuroplasticity is not magic. It is biology, attention, and timing. Here is the simple yet powerful formula. Neuroplasticity equals alertness, epinephrine, plus deep attention, acetylcholine, plus emotional/behavioral relevance. And remember, sleep, focus, and emotional engagement set the foundation. Attention, not repetition alone, causes wiring changes. Motivation, whether love or fear, can be used strategically. Your visual system is a powerful gateway to focus. Plasticity requires windows of intensity, not background noise. With this science-based approach, you no longer need to hope your brain will change. You now have the tools to train it to do so, on purpose,